Hi, I'm a local hippie. And today we are going to be talking about Impulse by Miss Nora Roberts, one of the greatest romance writers to ever do it, in my opinion. This was a very, very short work. I think it was about 70 to 80 pages. It was very short, so it either fits in the novelette or novella range. So it was very quick to read. And I had a lot of fun with it. Like as soon as I picked it up, it pulled me in and I had a really good time reading it. This was one of the first pieces that I read in a while where I was excited to come home from work and read it. Um, so that didn't happen a lot last year. So this one stands out a little bit. So without any further ado, let's yap about it. So basically, and also I got my little reading journal. So yeah, kind of helped me out. I read this, I believe, in either late October, early November-ish. So some time ago. And I still remember it quite vividly, actually, as you'll see once I get into the synopsis here. That's in this book, so that's why I am looking down. So, Impulse. As a cure to her mundane, cookie cutter life, businesswoman Rebecca Malone impulsively decides to sell all her belongings, quit her steady job on the tails of a devastating loss, which shakes her to her core, and decides to shake things up, to do things a little differently. So first she travels to Europe and then she backpacks around for a little while and then eventually she ends up in Greece where in true Nora Roberts fashion she meets up with a man. This man's name is Stephen Nicodemus. He is just as intrigued by her as she is by him, and so a romance ensues, of course. And what Rebecca is trying to do throughout this story is reclaim her identity and figure out who she is outside of the mundane day-to-day process she has always stuck to. She's always been a great student. She's always been on time, straight A's, no problems, perfect attendance. And then when she gets into the workforce, it's the same, perfect attendance. She's meeting all the metrics, doing everything right. And something just feels like it's off. And like I mentioned before, what offsets this way of thinking is the passing of a very close relative. And it gets her thinking that this relative did everything right and they still ended up passing away um, just when they had the chance to retire and to enjoy the life that they worked so hard to build. And they left pretty much everything to Rebecca. Um, and it is just kind of like, it's one of those things in life where I think all of us as people have to realize that the very nature of life is this big cycle. And you end up inevitably doing the same things over and over and over again. And, I think some people, they don't realize that they don't have as much time as they think they do. They think, I'm going to work the job now. I'm going to work really hard now. I'm not going to have any fun now. And I'll enjoy these things in my twilight years, not even knowing if you'll be able to even have twilight years. And I think that's one of the things that I really like about this story is that she decides to take a break, to pause her life and to take a chance on impulse to do something new, to rediscover herself, which becomes an issue between Rebecca and Stephen because she feels a lot of insecurity about the way that she has lived her life, about being this cookie cutter young woman, essentially. And Stephen is the complete opposite of that. He is, you know, he owns a restaurant. He's very wealthy. He has all of these connections. He has the ability to do things that the average person doesn't. And he has met the kinds of people and the sort of echelons of society that most people just don't have access to. And Rebecca realizes that. And the more she is introduced into his life, the deeper she descends into his life, the more insecure she feels about her past, and she continues to withhold pieces of herself from him because she fears him rejecting her because of the very ordinary average way she has led her life up until this point, which then leads to a little bit of conflict between these two and a little bit of a, I guess, third act breakup, if you will. Once she does divulge this information that she has been withholding throughout the story from him. And there's a lot of miscommunication, which is something that I don't really enjoy in adult romances because we're grown ass people. I don't really know why it's so hard just to communicate. You know what I'm saying? So when this happens, I'm sitting there just listening because I listened to it via Audible, and I'm just like, oh, what? This just sounds so juvenile, and these are grown, very grown people. So, and Steven, he has a very hard time, like, processing his emotions, and in a lot of instances throughout this story, him expressing his emotion or dealing with emotion comes off as aggression. And um, this is one of those instances where Nora Roberts wrote a heroine who is very timid, if you will, very reserved, very to herself. Look, she knows how to stand up for herself. And she lets Stephen know a couple times, like, hey, chill out, relax type of situation. And I love that. I love that about a Nora Roberts character because one thing about me, I'm very reserved in real life. I don't talk a lot, but the thing about content creators is a lot of the time they are introverts and they're really good at content creation because they're not talking to people. Of course, you will see this and you will interact with this video, but I will have already filmed it. And I'm essentially in my bedroom talking to my camera. It's just me and my camera, to be perceived later on when I'm already removed from the situation. You see what I mean? So, like, but I'm very reserved and very quiet. And, people try to take advantage of that. And I'm like, no, no. Um, and thus have been called, um, headstrong because of that before, because I won't let people take advantage of me, which is weird. But anyway, yes, Rebecca, I very much relate to Rebecca in that way. She's probably one of the characters that Nora Roberts has written that I relate to the most because while she is very reserved, a little timid, a little shy, she also has the capacity to stand up for herself. Um, but like I said, because she kept these things from Stephen and because, they had fallen in love with each other, she felt like she was lying to him and withholding information. And Stephen, because he can't like process his emotions in like a normal way, it comes off as aggression, which ends up driving her away for that third act breakup type of situation, which I just think could have been solved by communication. So that docked a star off of my rating. So instead of being, or at least a half star. So instead of being 4.5, it's just 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun with it. It was quick, and Nora Roberts really knows how to write a story. She really knows how to write a story. She really knows how to rope you in, how to engage you the entire time, and I'm a sucker for that. I am a sucker for that. So not too much to say about this one, but what I will say is that it made me want to go through Nora Roberts's catalog to find some of her earlier works because she's got a lot of work out there in the universe. And so that started me going back to reread some of the things that I've read by Nora Roberts before and looking for some stuff to read in the future. I will talk about the 2 novels that I reread by her pretty soon. Expect a video about each of those coming pretty soon. Not really a review, but just kind of like a talk about it and my rating and how I felt about them. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything. That's going to bring us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. I think I remember my outro now. I hope you have a good day, have a good evening, and I hope you read a really good book. And I'll see you when I see you. Bye.